Did you guys enjoy the live stream last week? We had a really good session. I got ton of messages from that training. Helped a lot of people, it seemed. So I've been getting a lot of questions lately. We haven't done our Q&A session in a little bit because I was sick, family was sick, and we had to postpone and cancel a bunch of calls. So that's what we're going to do today. So for this call here, we are going to do a Q&A call. This can be anything. So it doesn't necessarily have to be strategy or chart related. This can be mindset related, self-development related, habits, routines. It can be just about anything. That's where wherever you're at in your journey, different things that you want a different perspective on, things that I went through, challenges or obstacles or whatever it might be. That's what this is for. Justin, we can just talk about that privately. We don't have to, this isn't the forum for that. So we can just talk about that. You can shoot us a message and we can talk about everything that so we offer a high ticket program. We're a high ticket service, and for lifetime access, we charge a premium. But we can talk, you can just talk privately. I'll just shoot you a message. Just give me, these usually wrap up somewhere between like 12:45 and 1 o'clock. And then we can talk. And if you're catching this on the replay too, feel free to drop your questions in the comments, and we monitor these live streams, the comments afterwards, so we can come back in and we will respond to your comment there too. So you don't necessarily have to be on this live stream to take advantage of the Q&A. No, man, you're good. It's all good, brother. We only have good vibes here, dude. It's all good. So let's get into it. So if you have a question, and honestly, like, these are the calls, like, these are more powerful than anything I can show you on the charts. When I have, let me just talk about this really quickly, and then I'll get into the questions. And you can start dropping your questions in the chat now. But so we have a lot of mentors who we pay a lot of money to learn from. And these are people in different areas, right? Not just necessarily trading. It's running businesses or mindset related, all of these different things. Guys who are performing at a much higher level than us, doing the things that we want to do, living the way that we want to live, like that lifestyle. And they do trainings and live sessions like we normally do, and then they also have Q&As, and then they have masterminds. We're flying to a mastermind to meet Cole Gordon, who's one of our mentors in Nashville. So I'll be in Nashville. If anybody's in Nashville, myself, Joe, and Bogdan, we are traveling to Nashville March 31st. So if you're in that area and you want to meet up with us, just let us know and we can meet up. But when we get those calls for Q&As, or we do any type of mastermind, that's really where you get the golden nuggets. That's really where you get the aha moments, where you have that kind of like an intimate setting, or you have that avenue to talk to somebody who's doing what you want to do at a much higher level, doing the thing that you want to do. So really take advantage of these calls. I used to take advantage of these calls. I still do take advantage of these type of calls. I always get more value out of these calls where I can directly ask my mentor or somebody I'm learning from, who's already gone through everything that I'm about to go through. And I can get into questions and certain things that are going to help me get to where I want to go. And that's what entrepreneurship is. It's where you're at, your current situation, identifying your desired situation, a place or where you want to go. This is your vision. And then you have the middle, the gap. And that's the middle, right? That's the processes, the systems, the obstacles, the ups, the downs, the swings, the emotional roller coaster. That's how that's connecting that's bridging that gap. So you can get a lot of value from these calls. So again, these can be questions regarding anything, not necessarily chart stuff. So You're going to get more value, honestly, asking questions that are honestly not regarding strategy or actually trading, because trading is a very small piece of the puzzle. All right, let me see here. Dean tuning in from Australia. After you get the skill, you can get all your money back within one trade. Yeah, I mean, it's just an investment, like, and that's no different than any type of mentorship. And if you have the opportunity to invest in mentorship, like, you know, go look what Sam Ovens charges. Go look at what Cole Gordon charges. Go look at, you know, guys like Alex Hormozy. Go look at anybody that's doing multiple seven figures monthly, and look what their mentorship costs. That's what, so we're involved with all of them. And we're going to Cole's mastermind. But one, it's their tax write-offs, their business expenses, their investments in yourself and in your business. And we're investing in ourselves. So, you know, for example, one mentor that I invested into, he was $25,000 for 4 months. And he took me from 50K a month to 150K a month in 4 months. And that wouldn't have happened without him. And just for some perspective. So it pays its dividends for sure. If you can find a mentor that, and I'm talking like any type of mentor, like, you know, he's our business mentor, and then we have mindset mentors. Like, you know, any type of mentor that somebody you vibe with and you trust and you believe that they can help you get to where you want to go, it's definitely worth it. Do you have these patterns, or can you just choose the next higher high or higher low in fib and use the candle, whether there's a pattern or not? So like those, there's certain higher highs that, you know, if you're talking about a trending market, there are certain patterns within those that, you know, there's certain things that you can recognize that still, so we want to find our patterns within those. So, you know, there's always going to be higher highs and higher lows in a, you know, a bullish trending market. Just like in a bearish trending market, you're going to have lower lows and lower highs, but it's picking the right ones, right? Drawing your fibs and connecting the right swing points, right? The right swing lows and the right swing highs. And you really all want it to originate around manipulation. Factoring in what the herd mentality is, the retail crowd, and what they're doing, what they're seeing, and what they're perceiving the market to be, the environment, and then, you know, how are they approaching it and executing those environments, and then understanding certain places that have a really high probability of manipulation occurring in those areas. So, you know, even before higher highs or lower lows on those impulsive moves in that trending market, you're still, in most cases, going to see manipulation. So like when I, for example, just to kind of summarize this or give clarity to what I'm talking about, GU that I talked about previously in that training, when I'm looking for those structure points, one, I want to make sure my targets are there, right? A pattern in and itself is, you know, kind of irrelevant. Time is a big factor here. And then you're talking about targets. You need to have a strong confluence of targets. So when I'm looking at my entry points, right, I am looking at manipulation that is creating a new higher low or lower high. And that's where I'm getting my entries behind structure that are created by manipulation. Santiago, good morning, man. Peter, what's up, man? I see you in here. Long time, brother. Good to see you popping in. So again, I mean, we have a lot more people tuning in. So today is our live Q&A. So take advantage of this time, you know, ask questions. I'm an open book. It can be regarding anything, mindset, trading related, obstacles, challenges, self-development, whatever it might be. Really take advantage of this. You know, a closed mouth does not get fed. You know, we have these times scheduled, you know, in a systemized fashion, so that, you know, if you have questions throughout the week or when you're going through training, For example, like our live Q&A sessions that we do for our EFX University, we have a much smaller group. We have a show up rate that's higher than this group, and we're on there for 2 hours minimum every Q&A session, straight questions all the way through, because these people know what they want, and they're going to do whatever they want to. They're going to do whatever they have to do to get to where they're going. So they're coming with all their questions, and they're looking for clarity, and they're getting their answers so that they can take that information and run with it. Yeah, so Justin, so in terms of that, we could talk about that more privately too. So, we have certain things where there's access to me. There is, we have a systemized structure for getting access to me. We have a private community in addition to the website where everything is housed. We have CSMs, which are, we have people that, they're client success managers. So somebody that's going to keep you accountable, somebody that you're going to have, check-ins with. You can meet with them weekly, monthly, and you can schedule that. Then we're going to have, we're talking yesterday, we're going to be bringing in, got people who have gone to school for this. So, anybody ever see Wendy Rhodes does that name sound familiar to anybody? Does anybody here watch Billions, the Showtime show? And then there's Wendy Rhodes who worked for Axelrod, AxeCap, and she was the performance mindset coach for all the traders on the floor. So we're going to be bringing in people like that as well. We have a couple who were actually members who, went to school and they have degrees for that, and we're going to be bringing them in. And then we also have other leadership within the community. So, we're bringing Meg in. So a lot of you guys know who Meg is. Meg is my first student he's the first student of mine that hit 7 figures documented. And then we have guys like Luke, who's also, gone through it, full-time trader, doing this at a higher level now. So you have lots of people like that. We have the CSMs, it is most people, their first reaction when they walk through the door is holy shit. So EFXU is like an 8-week accelerator program, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to complete the weeks in a week, right? So, for example, like week 4, there's a ton of stuff, probably 10 different modules. Everything has action items. It's like a go at your own pace, but there's accountability factors and things like that. So, but it's like 8 segments of material for different topics. Every aspect of it, setting up your trading business, the trading related stuff, obviously, which is probably only 3.5 weeks, give or take. And then the rest of it, a lot of it's like the mindset stuff, the monetizing, the optimizing, the scaling, the back testing, the recording, the SWOT analysis, all that type of stuff, right? The transitioning, the stages, it's heavy detail. It's heavy detail. Do you have a special indicator to pick when to enter a trade? No. So like the only indicator that you ever need, if you really get to the root of indicators are, an indicator based on price, right? So when price moves, things are getting painted or repainted, right? So instead of focusing on most being lagging, right? A lagging indicator that is moving or repainting based on price, what do you think would be more effective? Something like that, or something or understanding the inner workings of price action that are actually, that's the thing that's painting the indicator, right? The RSI, the MACD, right? Like all these different things. Most of these are just distractions. So everything is based off of price action, naked price action. Identifying really, what we're up against as retail traders. We're the small guys in the big picture here. So there's certain, for example, like a volume indicator, right? Like if you go look at a volume indicator and when those things spike, right? I mean, I can point out where all major volume came into the market, put a volume indicator on, and it will be accurate, right? There's just very, very, unique things that happen in the market that leave a footprint, right? Just like if you were going to walk on the sand, if I was going to walk on the sand and I said, come find me, right? How would you do that? You would follow my footprints and find out where I go. And it's the same concept. You just have to be able to identify what you're looking for, which is talked about here and in the EFXU. Will this be recorded? Yes. So anytime we stream live into any Facebook group, it's automatically recorded and it becomes available the second I click end on this. So probably right around 1:00 p.m. Eastern, the recording will become available. And then I'll tag it to the top of the Facebook group. That way it'll be easier to find. Christian, what's up, man? I miss your weekly reminders, man, telling me to hit that record button. We do have, speaking of the indicators, we actually do have somebody in the community, in the EFXU group I was actually speaking with today, and he was kind of talking about something he's been working on. He's been working on something that is going to potentially identify the patterns that we use and look for the manipulation. So what he's going to do is he's going to work on that. Once he gets to a point where it's dialed in, I told him to send it to myself, and then myself, Mirko, and Luke, we're going to test it. And if we see value in it, that's something that we're going to bring up to the members. But for the most part, they're not needed. The only indicators that I use are all time and price related, right? Just to make my life easier. So I'm not marking up the sessions. Sessions indicator, just to mark up, Asian, London, New York, the overlap. And then the weeks, to chop up the weeks, so I can easily identify previous weeks and previous week high and lows and things like that. What did I trade today? Nothing. I don't do a lot of trading Monday and Tuesday. So we had a bank holiday yesterday. It was President's Day in the United States. So it was an extremely slow market yesterday. So that kind of makes today like the real Monday. Monday and Tuesday, that's when things are setting up and you're getting the weekly directional bias is in the process of being established. So the majority of my trades are executed Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But trading, it is understanding what it is you're looking at, right? The patterns that you can identify and trade effectively that have proven to put up a positive trade expectancy over a large sample size, right? And then waiting for those. So I sit here, I mark up my charts. At night, I do my routine. I look for things setting up. In the mornings, I check to see where things are at, what the updated price action is from the rest of Asian session and, the early half of London. And I look to see if my patterns are there. If my patterns are there, I execute. And if I don't see them, I don't execute. So that might look like a trade a day. That might look like one trade a week. It's just, I don't dictate my actions. The pattern in my trade plan dictate my actions, and it's simple as that. So, nobody. I do miss those webinars. Do you close out every day? It really depends on, so I mean, like that's like a, that's not a black and white answer because everybody's going to be different, right? I mean, you have people who are scalping on lower time frames, you have intraday traders, you have swing traders, you have position traders, right? So everybody's going to be different, right? And the data collection is really what's going to tell you what you should be doing. And a lot of that is going to factor in your schedule and your availability. I'm more of an intraday trader. So I do swing trade if there's something there that I believe is, I used to do a lot of swing trading, just my schedule. Like when I was working full time, for example, like I was doing a lot of swing trading, because I had to. I was working, right? I wasn't in a position to, trade and hop on the computer, and do my thing in the morning. Now I am. So I do a lot more intraday. So that's getting in and out of positions, usually in a couple hours or day. Sometimes swings turn into, twin trading or stacking positions, which can lead into a couple of days. But, based on the accounts that I'm also managing too, we're not, I can, but we don't, just because of risk exposure. So we're not really big on some accounts, like holding over the weekends and things like that. So, account size, and there's just a lot of factors that come into that. So, the way that I do things is most likely going to be different than you, right? And just like a lot of the traders in our group, everybody does what's, what aligns with their personality, their risk tolerance, their edge, their proven edge, their schedule, the lifestyle that they're trying to create with trading. But, there's a lot of factors. How many pairs do you recommend trading? So there's a whole process to that. So like all right, so like here's the thing, when people are trying to figure out trading and they're like, man, I don't know what pairs to trade, I don't know what time frames to trade, I don't know how I should be entering these trades, I don't know if it should be limits, I don't know if it should be market execution, right? Like there's all these things that you're like, I don't know which one to choose, and then people end up doing what? They choose what they want, right? Like they end up picking the pairs that they want to trade, or the pairs that they like. They choose the time frames that they want to do. It's a very common pattern, right? So in EFXU, for example, we have a whole week dedicated to this, and here's kind of the process. So when somebody's starting and you're a stage one trader and you're trying to, find your edge, you're trying to identify your best and worst performing pairs and time frames and days of the week and days of the month, like all these different things, right? Because if you look at any high performing entrepreneur, any business that does extremely well, any marketer that has really good KPIs, all these different things, right? Like what are they doing those things on? Like what is everything based on, right? Performance, KPIs, statistics, metrics, right? So, it's like take this model, for example, where a marketer, right, and they're running paid ads on Facebook, just for example's sake, right? I know most people here aren't marketers. I'm not a marketer myself, but just to give you a clear picture. So, for example, we have a marketing team that does all of our marketing for our companies, and what they do is we test different headlines, different bodies, different backgrounds, different camera angles, different types of VSLs and different, all these different things, right? And then different target audiences, different social media streams, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, and then certain budgets allocated to each of those. And then we let them run for X amount of time, call it 2 weeks. And then after those 2 weeks, you have collected a ton of data on all of these things. So it will basically tell you which ads are actually profitable, like the click-through rate, the average time somebody watched X video, and then you can look into what that video was, what the content was, what the background were, like identifying strengths and weaknesses. That's where the SWOT analysis comes in handy, right? So what we do is anything that is not producing and showing very low numbers and statistics that aren't profitable, what do? We cut them, and we focus and scale and optimize the ones that statistically show that they're profitable. Trading's no different. That's why we say constantly, trading needs to be set up and treated like a business, or you're not going to get results that are a reflection of that. So I don't choose the time frames, I don't choose the patterns, I don't choose the pairs, right? What do you think dictates those decisions? Data that you collect. So everything in early stages is collecting data, right? And then based on your data, in our custom built trade journal that literally takes all this data and built-in coding that shows all and displays with graphs and charts and averages all your strengths, all your weaknesses. You extract that, you make the changes to your trade journal, and it's going to tell you exactly what time frames you're performing well on and which time frames you need to stop trading. It's going to tell you the best performing patterns, right? Like if you're trading 3 patterns and you really love this one pattern, and pattern A is a pattern that maybe not your favorite pattern, but that's the pattern that's actually producing a positive ROI and a positive trade expectancy, and the other ones are showing a negative ROI. Which ones do you cut and which ones do you hone in on, right? It's no different. So in terms of the pairs, right, like in this early stage, it's kind of like I refer to it in the trainings as like taking a funnel with a filter on it, and you're throwing a lot of things in it, right? And you're getting a bunch of data from that, just like I described with the Facebook ads. We might run 20 ads to find one that works. We cut the rest and we optimize and scale that one. Right? Trading is the same thing. We're throwing a bunch of different things in that funnel. Things are getting filtered out. You're going to collect a bunch of data. You take that data, which is organized, and all of this, all of these metrics and averages, we have it, a custom built trade journal that is specific to our strategy, right? And then we have a process for back testing it and running a SWOT analysis and reading this data and interpreting it and implementing it. And what I describe with the ads is no different than what you need to do as a trader, right? And that's the difference of somebody who is valuing efficiency, right? And focusing on the thing that's actually going to drive results, right? People can spend a lot of time doing a lot of things, right? And it can feel very productive. But if you're not measuring those things that you're doing, how are you going to know what the stuff that you're doing is even driving you closer to the results that you're trying to achieve? So if you aren't doing this with your trading, you're spinning your wheels. And if you're wondering why you're not getting results with trading, this is why. You're not measuring properly. You're not back testing properly. You're not listening to what the data is telling you. So everything I do right now as a trader, it was dictated through my data that told me this is what you need to do more of. This is what you need to do less of. This is something that's a weakness, but it'd be beneficial for you to turn into a strength, and you have the capability of doing it. This is the feedback loop. I talked about it on Tuesday. This is the inputs, the processes, the outputs, and then the feedback, and understanding what input is driving that certain output. And if it's a positive or negative output, you go back and look at the feedback on that input, and you do more of or less of depending on the output. It's very simple. And that's what determines your future actions in the markets, in life, with your health, with business, everything. It's very, that's it. That's probably one of the biggest things I learned from Sam Evans. And then you can systemize it, standardize it, right? And then it becomes a default decision. Collected data is through your trade journal, your market biofeedback, all of that stuff, all in the training. You guys have access to that stuff. But the training is limited here in this group. The real detailed process, step-by-step stuff, that's in EFXU. But you have a lot of stuff here that gives you access to that. What I'm talking about there is in the 7-figure trading business model, in the files or the guides of this group. It goes right down to the environment. Right? Environment plays a huge factor in this. Like I talk about environment, it is something I talk about a lot inside EFXU, like creating an environment, like, if you're a system and then a system has to operate where, like, if I'm a system and my work system is operating in this office, and my everyday life and my health and my relationships is in my home and all these different things. So like my office is optimized for success, right? Logging things, tracking things that, enhance mood, like anything like, understanding like trading is focus and discipline, and being able to do all of these things, which all starts, a lot of it's just like what we're processing, information that we're processing. It's the input feedback loop here running through our minds that comes out in our hand in the actions that we execute on the computer. So everything I have is, designed for success, right? I'm eliminating distractions. anything that can send me down a rabbit hole, right? I'm designing optimal decisions. Like environment's a big one. I could go off and on environment for, quite a bit, but kind of circling back to what you were asking, Justin. So like what I recommend for people in those early stages, where like stage 1, stage 2, like that's data collection mode. Like you're measuring and you need things to measure. So I usually recommend 5 to 7 pairs, non-correlating pairs, no metals, no indices, no cryptos. Those can be added later on. There's a process to it, and there's certain variables at play for each stage, and then you can layer things in with a certain process. But you're taking, let's say, 5 to 7 pairs early stages, and you're filtering it in. One of the things that's tracked on our trade journal, it's going to tell you some pairs that, your best performing pairs and your worst performing pairs. And then, so like at the end of the process, right? The roadmap's been posted here. It's a flow chart that kind of shows this whole process. So like if you're a stage 1 and you're just in data collection mode and you're trying to figure out what you're good at and what you're not good at, right? And it might be like, trading 3 different patterns on 7 different pairs. And as you go through this process, all you're doing is cutting fat. You're cutting fat, cutting weaknesses, and you're slimming things down. So, less is more, right? I mean, that's a big one. You always want to focus on less so you can focus more, right? So at the end of this process, when you land at stage 3, stage 4, and now you're on pillar 4, and it's, okay, now it's time to get paid for this skill. It's time to monetize. I need to start optimizing. I need to start scaling my capital, scaling my income, right? That might look like trading 2 pairs, 1 pattern, 1 time frame on, 3 days a week, 3 months out of the month, right? So like there's a process to it. That does not make sense. To get any valid data, you will need to trade all the time frames. So I'm not saying don't trade lower time frames, right? And I will tell you this: if you can't consistently trade on 1 hour or above, on 1 hour, 4 hour, 30-minute, daily, weekly, higher time frames, you're going to get absolutely slaughtered. But hey, what do I know, right? I've only been doing this at a high level for years now, managing almost 8 figures, right? Worked with thousands of students over a number of years, intimate settings. I've seen so many case studies, so many trade journals, hundreds and hundreds of trade journals. I've seen so many things, strategy testing, back testing, case studies, you name it. That's how we've designed this process, right? So, if something doesn't make sense when I'm going to my mentors, I have an open mind. And then I try to understand what it is that they're saying so I can understand the process and why it is that the way that they say it is. And a lot of that is me getting out of my own way and, removing myself from the equation, because we want to always do things our way. And the biggest reason, or one of the biggest reasons people don't see success, is they do get in their own way, right? So, this is a process that's been tested. It's duplicated on a mass scale. And when people jump into these lower time frames, yes, like these things I'm saying, like no metals, no cryptos, and no lower time frames, there's a time and a place for it. In stage 1 at ground floor, that is not the time for a trader to jump into these lower time frames. You need to do so many other things first. Primary focus is identifying patterns, higher time frame swing points, understanding structure, directional bias on a short-term and high-term perspective, right? You're not going to be able to do that. The lower you go, the louder it's going to get. Most people that I've worked with over the years, even people who get to that level of being a profitable trader and then they want to get down into lower time frames, most people quickly retrace and go back to those mid to higher time frames. Most people will get slaughtered on micro time frames. I'm talking 15-minute, 5-minute, 3-minute, 2-minute, 1 minute, right? You don't take my word for it, man. Honestly, you do not have to. Go test this yourself. Go test this yourself. grab a large sample size, 90, 120 days, and then bring it. Let's talk statistics. Everything I speak of is numbers and statistics, not opinion. Opinion, I'm at a level now where I can understand and recognize opinion is not something that is playing a part in my decision making. Statistics are, analytics are, metrics that have been measured over large sample sizes, not 30 days, not 90 days, right? I'm talking 24 months, 36 months, and longer. Large sample sizes worth of data that these things are developed on. So it's a process. Like, you can add those things in later stages, but you can get plenty of data. Time frame is not the thing that we're focusing on with data in early stages. From my own experience, after blowing account after account, you will just grow fear in yourself. So like, and we're just talking like straight up price action. Like, we're not even talking about the mindset aspect of it, right? So like, when you're talking lower time frames, you're talking about 99% of them are going to be executed, market execution, not pendings. Spread becomes a major factor because you're talking very small stop losses, where a 1 pip spread, 1.5 pip spread can be a big factor. You're talking about making split-second decisions. You're talking about setups that can form, hit, and be completed within 15 minutes. It's like there's a whole mindset for it, and that's playing a big role in it, right? Like, most people are not mentally prepared or have a developed enough mindset for trading lower timeframes in stage one, right? Like, that's a whole other topic for a different time. Like, there's a process to it. You need to adapt the casino owner mentality. You need to be able to accurately manage your emotions and the actions that are being forced from those emotions, primarily fear and greed, right? There's so many things that play a role here. And more importantly, like, you're developing a trade plan and identifying your edge. People just jumping into those micro timeframes on, stage one, again, it's, just, hey, don't take my word for it. Do your own due diligence. And I would love to discuss an actual case study, and if anybody makes some type of claim like this, I'm not leading with ego here. I am all for coming to the table with an actual case study, actual data, and then we can review it. And, we can follow the data. But what I'm talking about is based off of data. So, I promise you, if you jump lower time frames in metals too early, it will kill you unless you are lucky. If you find patterns on 1 hour, can't everything be charted on the time frame since that's the price? Yeah, absolutely. Like, most people think, like, when they start optimizing and they want to start increasing risk to reward, and they're doing 1 hour, 4 hour setups, for example. I have a lot of training on this, actually. You can do all of those things without having to go to micro timeframes. There's many different ways you can do that. So yes, Justin, that's an accurate statement. I found I first need to learn where the key spots are on higher time frame. I was able to identify setups that played out, or I was getting run over. Backing off and finding the patterns in the proper area on higher time frame has taken me from stage one to stage two, and that's it, man. Like, and that's a student of mine in EFXU. Like, he understands the process, right? And that's one of the biggest things when you're in those early stages, is identifying, those key areas in the market, higher time frame targets, higher time frame structure, all of these things, right? And then building setups around that. And then once you have that dialed in, and your directional bias, short, higher, and all those other things I just mentioned are locked in, right? And then you can start thinking optimization. And then you can start thinking, okay, like, how can I start maximizing profits here? How can I increase risk to reward here, right? Like, stage one, like, the focus isn't profits. It can't be, right? It can't be. so there's other things that need to be the focus there. And then when you get to that stage and you start transitioning through those stages, and then you can start asking questions like, okay, I got this stuff locked down on mid to higher. I'm understanding structure and where price is going. How can I sell higher? How can I buy lower in this situation? How can I increase my risk to reward? How can I start scaling all these different aspects of trading? But you can't trade lower time frames without a solid understanding of those higher time frames. And then if you can't trade one pattern on a 1 hour time frame, because everything's fractal that we're talking about here, right? So what you're going to see on a 1 minute is no different than a 5 minute, than a 1 hour or a weekly or daily, whatever it is, right? The lower the time frame, things are going to happen a lot faster. It's just a different ball game there. It's different territory. It's also factoring in the lifestyle that you want to live, right? When you're playing on those lower time frames, especially with that mindset not being developed, what are you going to do? You're going to be like this 24/7. Like that's where most people, they're glued to their phone. When they're in an active position, they're on their phone. They can't put their phone down for 5-10 minutes. Right? And they're micromanaging those lower time frames, watching those 1 minute, 5 minute candles getting painted out. And everything that they do is led by impulsive decisions, by emotions. So there's a lot there, man. Like there's a lot there. I'm speaking from experience here. Like not just my experience, like the experience of working with a lot of people over the years. Wise man once told me that I don't need to go on time frames lower than the 1 hour to become a successful trader. Yeah. So for example, like my primary investor, who's the one that funds me, and he's the reason why I got onto 7-figure accounts. He's also one of my really good friends based out of Texas, and he also is a trader and one of my trading partners. And just for some perspective, he trades only higher time frames. I trade lower time frames. Don't get me wrong. I trade lower micro. I talked about this on Tuesday's session, how I determine a time frame. But he specifically trades 4 hour higher, sometimes 1 hour if he needs to. Primarily limit orders. A lot of that has to do with the lifestyle that he has and wants to live. It's not being glued to the computer. He does this thing and marks them up on higher time frames, and they take time to set up, and he's perfectly okay with that. And he's focusing on quality and less trades and a certain gain percentage every month. It's just, there's a reason why him and his family are 8-figure investors, long-term perspective. Agree, Tony. Learn to get the big picture first from high. You have to. You absolutely have to. If you identify a weakness or a bad habit, like entering a trade because of FOMO, which I know all traders have done on the journey, any advice on how to get better discipline on this problem in your experience? So let me think. So I don't think that we have done. Let me check the schedule. When's the last time that we've done a mindset call in FTME? Does anybody remember? Let me check the schedule. I'm pulling up my calendar because did we just do this, or was this in the EFXU group? Does anyone remember the last time we did one? Been a few months. Yeah, so the reason I say that, Michael, is because there's a lot there that we can dive into. So there's a couple things. The big thing is, what I frequently talk about, it's the casino owner mentality. I don't know, every call should be though. I frequently talk about the casino owner mentality and kind of like what that entails, and then what that looks like for a trader. And it's kind of like understanding the positive trade expectancy. So like, a lot of it has to do with a trade plan, right? Being able to follow your trade plan, because a trade plan, what's the whole reason for us making a profitable, proven, tested trade plan, right? The main reason for that is so that we can follow a step-by-step guide on our confirmations. And when we have those things met, that's what we follow, right? Like trading is one, developing an edge, building a profitable trade plan. And then to the flip side of that, it's really our ability to implement that trade plan. So a big part of trading, and what's something that is really not commonly talked about, is when somebody starts trading, stage 1 trader, stage 2 trader, and you come into trading and you have like these goals that you want to accomplish, whether it's, I hate my job, my boss sucks, I don't make enough money, I got a family I got to support, or there's a lot of people that, man, I have a really good paying job, and I make a lot of money, but I've had no time, I've missed my my kids growing up, like whatever that is. So when you have that thing that you want, right, or that thing that you want to change, and you believe trading can help you do that, when you enter trading, that current version of yourself is incapable of results that you're trying, or the thing that you're trying to chase after, your vision, right, your desired situation. So a very small part of it, yes, it's charts and understanding all of that good stuff, and the management and the monetizing and all of that great stuff. But the biggest thing that was hard for me to understand and really wrap my head around and implement when I learned this, and then it's just something that almost every mentor that I've ever come across, who I've actually worked with privately, the biggest thing that they all talk about is these different levels that we want to achieve and break through. All of it is the levels first that we need to do inside of us, right? It's internal before the external matches. And what I mean by that is, right, that first version of yourself that I said is incapable of those results, of that next level, right? The whole thing that we need to do is identify certain habits, certain strengths, and certain characteristics that this trader, that this entrepreneur, that this business owner needs to acquire in order to achieve those results. Like, what do they do on a daily basis? How do they think? What's their routines like? What habits do they have that makes accomplishing those goals and busting through those next glass ceilings and breaking through those next levels effortlessly, right? And when we can identify those things, a lot of it then translates into our execution on the charts, right? So, you have to work on your patience. You have to work on certain habits, right? It's the the cue. Anybody ever read Atomic Habits? Anybody ever read Atomic Habits? Get the author. But it's the cue habit, right? It's the cue response, or cue craving response reward, right? So like that's a big part of creating these new habits, and also ridding bad habits. So like there's things that we need to do in terms of that's where the market bot feedback comes in huge, right? It's okay, I'm going to identify how I'm feeling at different stages of the trade, and then look at the actions that I performed and what emotions or thoughts were present there that forced me into making certain actions. Like, for example, I saw price coming down to my entry so fast, and I became hesitant because of the speed price was coming into my entry. So I deleted my pending, and next thing you know, price came and hit my entry and went flying to my TP, right? Or I am in a trade, price is running in profit, and I'm up 1 to 3, right? Things are going good. And now price is retracing back on me very hard. And I do not want to lose money on this trade. And I certainly don't want to lose the trade. And I move my stop loss to risk free. Next thing you know, price comes and tests my entry again, takes me out of the trade, and then price goes flying to my TP. Then the very dangerous part of what I just described is your very own experience, which is the most readily available resource that you have now, is going to be carried into those, future situations, right? Like those situations that led to the person doing that stuff in the first place, that was the reason why they did it. And that's why your own experience can be very harmful for you in the markets, right? So when we can identify certain actions and certain emotions and fears and different things that are taking place, because it happens to all of us. If you're a human being, you're gonna experience these different things and thoughts and emotions that happen for traders at these different stages, beginning before they're marking up and before they're executing a trade, while they're actively in a trade, and then when they close the trade. When you can identify it, you can get to the root of it, and then you can make adjustments. And that's very similar to the cue, craving, response, reward, feedback loop of habits and understanding fears, right? That's the whole purpose of the market biofeedback, right? Understanding, fears and emotions and certain things like that. A big part of it too, so you can quickly see like there's a lot here. And that's why I was asking, when's the last time we did like a mindset call, because that might make for a good topic. That might make for a really good topic on the next call. You guys want to do that? You guys want to do like a mindset? Because it's been a while. When you want to do a mindset thing for the next call? You don't day trade on a 4-hour, bro. You don't day trade on a 4-hour. I think you're just kind of, maybe it, I'm trying to understand from your perspective before I answer, and it's most likely just misunderstanding what the process that I'm saying, and maybe I didn't do a good enough job about describing it, but it's probably just a lack of understanding what I was trying to convey. And if you understand, if you get a better idea of what I'm trying to say after going through all the training in this program and inside this Facebook group, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, there's a lot to it, Michael. So what I'm thinking is next Tuesday, let's do a mindset call. We can dive into that. We can talk about, so like I got a lot of stuff, I got a lot of stuff from, especially from like EFXU week 7, and the whole thing is just mindset stuff, the market biofeedback stuff. I got market biofeedback personality tests, and I got a lot of stuff, a lot of really good content and resources for the very thing that you're talking about. So we can probably dive into that. I'm trying to find something here. To identify weakness. Oh yeah. So yeah, so I have another really good module too. It's called Monk-like Discipline. And yeah, so what we can talk about is we can address some of the fears, because you talked about kind of two different things there. You talked about discipline, and then you talk about different fears, entering a trade because of FOMO, for example. It can be the exact thing of like having the discipline to not let fear of being wrong or losing money alter the decision making for your execution when you have an active trade. So we can talk about that. Let's plan on next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern in here. That's going to be the topic, and we can dive into that, because that's kind of like a harder question. It's a good question. It's just kind of, and I kind of give you like a broad answer, but you can kind of see from my answer that there's a little bit that goes into it, and then I can actually like give you some resources and tips on how to make changes. So Nicola, let me ask you a question. why do you want to day trade specifically first? Like over swing trading, for example. Did you watch, let me ask you this. Did you watch the training I did last Tuesday? If you didn't, I really recommend that because I talk about this in pretty good detail. I dive into this. You know, again, it's like getting out of the habit of like doing things that we want to do versus like the thing that we need to do to actually see results and make changes in our lives, right? Like if you actually have a goal that you want to accomplish, whatever that goal is, right? Make, extra 5K a month or make 6 figures a year, whatever that is, right? Like, at one point, so I would watch that really quick when you have the opportunity to, and I kind of touch on this topic in detail, and it's, I think it will help you and give you a little bit of clarity. But, day trading is something like, you can do that. And I'm not saying like start on like 4 hour and higher. Like, I mean, we're talking like 1 hour, probably 30-minute at the lowest. But, you have to be able to identify. So let me ask you, let me change your perspective a little bit, right? So like, let's just say, for example, I've said to you or just anybody, right? Like, let's say this is like I think this is the first time we've ever had a conversation. All right, let's just say somebody comes up to me and they say, hey, Danny, like, I have never traded before. And, I work right now in construction. I hate my job. I don't make enough money. And I have a baby on the way. And I need to do something really, really fast to change my current circumstances. I don't have enough funds to, get a bigger place. I don't have the money to support a baby and a family and all these different things, right? And I said, I understand your situation. I've been there personally. So if I could describe something for you to get you to that desired situation, right? For you to accomplish those goals. And I said, if I have a proven system for this, I've done this with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, right? And I can help you get there. Do you care what that looks like, right? What I mean by that, does it matter how you enter those trades? Does it matter how many trades you enter on a weekly or monthly basis? Does it matter what pairs those are? Does it matter the time frame, right? Does it matter the execution style, right? Is it market execution or pending, right? If I could get you to that thing that you want, that would change your life and make your life that much easier, right? Do you care what that looks like? See, that's the problem with entrepreneurship, with business owners, right? So just for some perspective, right? We have like probably 10 to 12 employees for our company right now. And in order to find, certain people that can play at a high level, most people come in and say, you guys are A players, like, and this is what I've been looking for. And I'm just an open book because I want to be surrounded with you guys. And even if that means taking a lower position, but most people come in and they're so stuck on doing things their way versus a proven method, right? Because we've built 2 7-figure businesses, 1 in 2 years. And we have a lot of systems, we have a lot of processes, we've done a lot of case studies, we've tried a lot of different things. We have a lot of high level mentorship that help guide us and bring us to certain levels, right? And when people come in, they're going to do it either 1 of 2 ways, a proven way, right? Because they come in wanting something, and we can help them get there with these systems and processes that are tested, tried and true. Or they can come in and do it their way and then just realize, like, this is against the way that they want to do it, and then they part ways. And trading really can't be any different, right? It's, people get too hung up on bridging the gap of here I am and here's where I want to go, and these are the things that I want that will make my life better, right? And they want the middle, the hows and the processes and the systems and the strategies and whatever that looks like. They want it to look the way that they want versus a way that works, that produces results consistently, right? So I hope I painted a clear picture there. So like, that's kind of like what I'm, kind of portraying here. That was something that was difficult for me because I'm a very stubborn, I'm Irish, right? I'm stubborn by nature. It's in my blood. And I always wanted, just to be transparent. Like I always kind of needed like a sense of control. And doing that was, doing things my way. It was like a my way or the highway type attitude. And it was very difficult for me to let go of that when I have these type of conversations with people. And once I did though, and I was like, man, like if I'm focused on the vision and why I want to do this, which has always been for my daughter. I found I was a painter. I found out I had a daughter on the way. I didn't have a license. I was right out of jail, and I was like, man, like what the heck are we gonna do? I had to borrow money from my girlfriend's father to get into our first apartment, which we only did a month before the baby came, right? And I was just like, man, like my stubbornness is going to prevent me from changing my life and being able to provide for this baby. I just need to focus on what I want, right? My vision, like getting a new house in a gated community, in a beautiful neighborhood, not worrying about how the bills are going to get paid or how I'm going to buy diapers or, waiting for the EBT food stamp card to get filled up so we can sell Katie's to pay for our phone bill and then mine to go, get groceries, right? So I could change those things, right? And then when I had that paradigm shift, I didn't care what the process was. You show me a process that works, that's proven, and you got case studies to back it, and you can show me tons of people that have gone through this and actually produced results, and I'll do it the way you say. Let's get at it. This is what I want. If you can help me get there, I'm for it. And when I did that, my life dramatically changed. And if you don't know my story, there's a lot of stuff here, and you can probably check it on YouTube or our website. But that was my biggest paradigm shift as a human being, not just a trader. And I've carried that into everything I do, my health, my eating habits, the way I systemize my life and schedule everything, my relationships, with my business partners, with my family, with my significant other, with my daughter, always kind of like leading with a certain vision in a moral compass and not doing things my way, right? Like, and that was a big thing for me that had a dramatic impact on myself and my family. And now I've just kind of been in a fortunate place where now I can link with other people and help other people. I've linked with Joe and Bogdan, and we created this business a couple of years ago, and we've been able to provide opportunity for other people as employees of the company and work for us. And then our traders and our community, we've been able to help people show the process that we've done to, not only level up our trading, not only level up our online business, our different online businesses, but as human beings and people and our mindset and the way that we think and everything, really. And that's what it is. That's what success really is. Unfortunately, my experience when I followed someone without understanding that is there's more, we've been doing this for a long time, and there's a lot of stuff here. I would recommend going to easyfxtrading.com. There's a video right there that shows the entire process. It's broken into 4 pillars. There's a ton of resources in this Facebook group. There's an entire mini course which you have access to. You can search files, videos, or just search my name. I go live in here almost every single week, have for quite some time. EasyFX Trading Facebook group, you can go there. There's countless videos in there. There is a ton of stuff that you have without paying a dime that you'll be able to better understand this. No, that's just something a member was working on that we kind of saw today, and I had a conversation with him. Yeah, and it's important to understand too, Nicole, like we're not even really talking strategy here. We're talking a system, right? Like, people think trading is this. I want to trade because I want to make money. I'm going to learn a strategy. I'm going to learn what I have to learn about these candles and, you know, what a doji candle is and all this stuff, right? I'm going to jump on a demo account. I'm going to test this strategy, and either I make money or I don't make money, which is going to determine if I stay with this strategy or not. If I make money with this strategy on demo, I'm going to go live. If I don't, I'm going to look for a different strategy. I'm going to test that out. And then when I make money with that, then I'm going to go live. And then once I'm live, I'm going to make money with it. And then that's how I'm going to cash out. And then when I cash out, that's how I'm going to change my life. And then unfortunately, that is not the system that works. That system does not work. That is an extremely flawed, you know, I have a lot of experience creating, running, and scaling businesses. And we have that same approach with trading. That's why I always say trading has to be set up and treated like a business. You know, my trading, for example, I mean, it's going to look different than a lot of people's right now at different levels. But, you know, when you get to a stage when you're at that level where you're making cash outs, where you're a little bit concerned about taxes, right? So I have business bank accounts, I have LLCs, I have bookkeeping, I have distributions, I have payroll that distribute profits from trading. You know, there's just a lot to it, right? I mean, there's four main pillars to it, which are described in that video. And there's just a process, right? I mean, you know, there's different stages that traders go through, right? There's a mindset revamp, right? There's just certain habits and things that traders need to develop. There's so much. There's just so much. And there's just a lot of things that have to be in place, systems, being able to collect the right data, be able to backtest that data. You know, there's just a lot there, right? And I mean, and we have that system dialed in. And you know, you can talk to people in this group. You can get, you know, experience from people that have been. There's plenty of people here that have been with me for years. You know, there's a lot of people that can give you some insight. All right, well, I don't see any other questions. Anybody else have any other last minute questions? We're about 15 past the hour. I have to go pay this cleaning lady. They just finished. I just heard them. And Katie's texting me. If there's no other questions, we can probably just wrap it up. And then what we'll do, Mike, if you're still on here, what we'll do, just everybody, we'll plan on a mindset call, kind of touching on those two topics specifically for next Tuesday. I'll put it on my calendar right now. So next Tuesday is the 1st. So we will plan on March 1st, 12 p.m. Eastern, and we will do that mindset call for that session in this group. Nice to see you as well, man. Hope you have a great day as well. All right, well, I don't see any other questions, so we can just wrap it up there. Hope you guys all have a great day. Stay safe, stay blessed, keep grinding, and I will see you guys all next Tuesday. EFXU members, I will see you all Friday. Have a great day, everyone. Talk to you soon.